And so when I do this work, whatever this work means, it's different for different people. But in this work, what I try to invite people to do is to attach to the emotion, to reattach to the emotion, because the cognitive, the logic, the rationale, the information, the intellect alone isn't enough right now. And we're getting so confused because we're being bombarded by so much information, which is the domain of our intellect. And I think that part of the challenge right now is to actually is to attach the two, to find a way of fusing the intellectual with the emotional, the information with the feeling. And I have to believe that somewhere in the middle between those two parts is a deeper sense of wisdom, or a deeper sense of knowing, or a deeper sense of truth, if there ever is one. But I think that the more we try to detach from the emotion, the more we support a belief, a faulty belief, a maladaptive belief that emotion is useless or less than or a sign of weakness. Because this moment in time in particular is perhaps calling on our emotion. Yeah. We can't escape emotion right now. So if we try to detach from it, we detach from a huge part of our experience. Whereas right now we're being called to be in the fullness of who we are. And that requires the heart and the brain, the intellect and the emotional. So I think by way of beginning the work, we need to find a way of attaching to what's real for us, being in our emotion as much as we can be, and as much as we need to be as well in our intellect.
When you say be in your emotion, can you expand on that and just maybe explain that a little bit more?
To be in our emotion, I think to be in our emotion means to give ourselves permission to name our emotions, to name our feelings, to name what am I experiencing in this moment. Is it joy? Is it ease? Is it grief? Is it loss? Is it confusion? Is it fear? What am I actually feeling? What am I also sensing in my body? Yeah. So part A is about naming the feeling, the sensation, the emotion. And I think part B is more closely aligned perhaps to your question around the being. It's the giving ourselves the permission to actually feel that emotion, to feel that sensation. And even if it's just for a brief moment, to maybe watch and observe if our energy rises or falls or plateaus. Yeah. Maybe it's for a moment, maybe it's for an hour, maybe it's for half a day. We don't know until we're in it, right? But I think to be in our emotions is to give ourselves permission to experience them when they arise, and to not minimize them, to not tell ourselves that they are less than, that they're a sign of weakness, that they make us less of a leader.
So this is
Go on.
No, so it's really interesting because one thing that I've been exploring a lot recently is this idea of a mood, and we can call it an emotion, a mood. And one of the things that I've found is that this concept of a mood can last for a lot longer than we might expect. It's almost like the seasons, like the weather. So some people think that, you're just feeling this way for a couple of days, and for some people it lasts for months or if not years. And so I understand that there's this concept of attaching or embracing your emotion. But what happens if you get caught in an emotion that doesn't hold, any type of optimism, any type of power for you to, move forward, or for you to overcome, or for you to rise up, or for you to really, put yourself out there and to start to really embrace what's going on, at the same time do what's necessary for you to, if you need to find a new job, if you need to, or if you're looking to start a new business and all of this, and you're feeling all of these emotions and you sometimes get caught up in the emotion. Can you talk a little bit about that?
So the first question that comes up for me is, what's the rush? Yeah, why are we always so quick to want to exit the mood or be outside of it or get over it or get beyond it? Yeah. And so there's always a question there for me around, what's the rush? What's that narrative that we tell ourselves? And whose narrative is it that we have to get beyond it so quickly? And maybe we don't. So I want to challenge the assumption in the first instance that maybe we don't need to get through it so quickly, within 5 minutes or 10 minutes or within a day. And that maybe being in it is actually okay. But the second part of your question is a very important one too, because if I heard it correctly, what you're saying is, what happens if this mood actually debilitates us and inhibits us from actually making progress in our lives? And that's absolutely a risk zone, yeah, or a red flag zone. And we want to watch for those moments, for those occasions where a mood or a feeling or an emotion, whatever it is, overrides us to the point that we can't actually function too well in our day to day. And at the point of recognizing that that might be happening, yeah, that's really where we want to reach out for support, whether that's professional support or whether it's spiritual support or whether it's social support or physical support in the form of exercise. There's lots of various ways that we can get support in our lives. And we don't need to be in this alone. We don't need to experience our lives in solitary confinement. We have the ability to reach out for support. And I think that a way to get out of that stuckness that perhaps you're referring to is through the relational component of support, yeah? Of reaching out to someone or something else and saying, I need help, I need you, I need a conversation. Let's talk. I need you to know how I'm feeling, yeah? Or perhaps I just need you to be here in silence with me and not talk but be present, yeah? So I think we need to watch when we're reaching that phase, if we're reaching that phase, and then know who to turn to, when to turn to those people or to those supports.